I spent the last 1,000 days trying to build a marketing agency. Let's start at the very beginning. I had $27 in my bank account and I was living in my parents' basement right here. I was so desperate to make some money and I had to get a job. So I got a job at an Apple store. I ate ramen noodles every single day. I calculated every single dime that I had and I was able to save up a couple $1,000s. But then COVID hit, everything shut down. So Apple decided to pay everyone while everything was shut down. So that was perfect for me. I got to stay at home, do absolutely nothing, and get paid for it. So I realized this was the absolute perfect opportunity to start a business. My expenses were paid, I had nothing to do, I had all the time in the world, and all I wanted to do was figure out how do I start a business before I have to go back into work. So with my newfound freedom, I was looking at all the different options and opportunities I could go down in order to start a business. Then my friend texted me one day and said, hey, check this guy out. This guy's name was Brody Kern, and his product was called The Brotherhood. And I took a sales call with him and I was just so desperate at the time that I just said,
I just want to be making $1,500 a month and I don't want to have to go back to my job.
And he said,
I guarantee that you'll be making $1,500 a month. Now pay me $5,000.
And I did. So I joined his Brotherhood thing and I actually got like almost nothing out of the program, but I was just so desperate to get something going that I started to reach out to random people just asking if they need help with random things. I reached out to a friend of mine who already owned a pretty successful business and I asked him, hey, do you need help with your Instagram account? Because his Instagram account was kind of lacking. And so he said yes, and he paid me $500. And so that was my first client of May 2020. So as I made his content for Instagram and started growing it, I was just trying to think about what's the next thing I can do to get clients. But I realized I couldn't rinse and repeat this system because I don't have just 1,000 friends that all have bad Instagram accounts and have great businesses and they all need help, right? So I couldn't really repeat what I just did with this one guy. And so I basically just started doing more work for him. So I started doing his ads, I started doing his copywriting and growing his company. And so I became one of his employees basically. And so we were able to grow his business from like $40,000 a month to $100,000 a month, which was awesome. And he started paying me around $3,000 a month to manage all this for him. So I was pretty happy. I was making and saving some money, and honestly, I was only really working like 2 hours a day, and so it was a pretty easy job. But I knew that there was just more that I could be doing. So eventually one day I just told him, hey, I don't really want to run ads for this company like for the rest of my life. And so as of October of 2020, we basically just split ways. So for the next 2 months, I just tried to think about what else could I do? What's the next step in my life? And I remember telling my girlfriend at the time and my friend, hey, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep doing the same old. I don't want to sit and play video games or go out to eat or just hang out and talk with friends all day because I feel like I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going anywhere by doing those things. And so it was just really frustrating for me just to sit around and do nothing. I just felt like there was so much more that I could be doing. And so I started just reading a whole bunch of books and I read this book that kind of changed my life. It was called 0 to 1 Million in 12 Months. And this guy had some good strategies in the book. It was more for like e-commerce and Amazon businesses and all that jazz. But I just thought, that's actually a really great idea. Why don't I try to start a documentary series of me trying to build a business from 0 to $1 million in 12 months? It was like November, December at the time, so why don't I start in January and try to build a marketing agency to $1 million? So that's what I basically did. In December, I started preparations for what I'm gonna do in the new year. I started doing a ton of market research, just trying to call companies, ask them what their problems were, what they needed help with, try to figure out what my offer was gonna be for the new year. And so I landed on pest control companies, and my offer was, I help pest control companies get 10 bedbug heat treatments per month. And so I started doing outreach to those pest control companies on LinkedIn, on email, and on Facebook. And I got my first client from doing Facebook outreach to a Facebook business page just saying, hey, I just want to see if you needed help with your marketing, bro. Getting this first client was like literally the most frustrating time of my life. It was super annoying. And once he signed, he paid me $600 plus ad spend. And then I turned around and I paid a media buyer to run the ads for me. So I actually wasn't running the ads. I just paid somebody else to do it. I found this media buyer on Upwork. So he started running the ads for the clients, and now I had to focus on trying to get my next client and the next one. And I didn't have a consistent system for getting clients, and I realized that almost nobody has a consistent system for getting clients. I was doing email, I was doing LinkedIn at the time, and nothing was really working. I was getting about 2 to 3 sales calls a week with those systems, and the calls I were getting on were just really low quality. Like nobody wanted to buy, everyone was low quality. Like they didn't have the buying power, they didn't have the money to spend, or they would just pick up the phone and then hang up as soon as I called them, even though they booked a call with me. So it was very frustrating. So while I didn't know what to do in order to get more sales calls and clients, the media buyer wasn't really running the ads properly, and he wasn't getting any leads for the current client that we had. And so I basically had to refund my one client his $600 because we weren't getting him any results. And so at this point, I was just desperate for answers. I just want to know, how do I just get more sales calls? And I bought this mini course about how to get sales calls through Facebook ads for $5 each. And I didn't actually get any real sales calls from Facebook ads for $5 each, but I did learn how to use Go High Level through that. I spent the next 3 days just trying to figure out how to use this tool because there was so much to it. And then I saw that you could do text and email automations. And I was like, why is nobody talking about this? Like, I can literally just text and email unlimited amounts of people offering my service to them. And so I switched niches to solar because I was in California at the time. And then I just text blasted 200 people and emailed them saying, hey, I just want to see if you're interested in this. And I got like 10 sales calls almost immediately. And I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And I was consistently getting 10 sales calls per day. And I was closing deals left and right. And then I was able to make enough money to move out of my parents' basement and into my dream apartment, which is this one right here. So now I was set, right? I have a proven system. I know exactly what to do to get to $1 million. All I got to do is keep sending out these emails, keep sending out these text messages, get more clients, and become a millionaire. That's as easy as it is. The problem was I didn't know how to run ads for solar companies. And so I fired the media buyer because he wasn't running ads good for the pest control company. So why would I keep him? I tried to run the ads myself because I figured I could figure it out, and I wasn't getting them any results. So all the solar companies would come for a month and then they would leave. And so I had a high churn or turnover rate where they would just come and leave and come and leave. And so I was able to get clients consistently however much I wanted, but I wasn't really delivering them any results. So I didn't want to keep doing that. So I stopped working with all those clients and I just tried to figure out what's going to be my next move. Now, I still had this apartment to pay for, and so I just had to go get a job. And so I got a job cold calling. And when I signed up for this job, I made one error in my banking information and I changed like a 7 into an 8. And so all the money that I had was going into somebody else's bank account. And so I was working there for a month and I realized I'm not getting paid. Like, why am I not getting paid? And then corporate said, oh, well, it's going actually into somebody else's bank account. We're not gonna be able to pay you because we already paid that other person. And this, I don't know who this person was. It was just some random person that had a bank account that was one number different than mine. And I was like, how am I gonna be able to pay rent? How am I gonna be able to pay my bills? Like, I got this job so I can do that. And now I can't even do that because I've been working for you for a month and I'm not gonna get paid anything. And so one day during lunch, I was about to get up and leave and I just wrote down, you know what, I haven't been paid. I've got bills to pay. I'm gonna go. And so I just got up and left. And that day felt so freeing. I remember just going to the library right next door here and just laying there for like an hour. Just like, man, I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. I didn't know how my bills were gonna get paid. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I was just so glad I didn't have to sit in that office for another day. So now I was just trying to figure out, what do I do next? Then one day I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw someone post, does anyone need help with booking appointments for their marketing agency? And I thought, well, that's kind of stupid because I was able to do that really easily. Like, why would someone sell that as a service? But then I realized not everyone has a system, and like that was the original process. Like the original thing was nobody knew how to get a ton of sales calls, and I figured out the system. And then I was like, let me just try to offer this as a service and see if it works. So I literally just copied and pasted his post into the same exact group, and I got like 40 comments of people saying that they were interested, and I got my first couple closed deals with my new marketing agency, which was B2B lead generation. And from here, I met Andrew. I worked on some projects with him and Lead Hype. I took business trips to like New York and New Jersey and Florida. And I felt like I was on, I'm out here living, I have a business, it's working, it's growing, and I felt great. But I ran into the same problem again. So I was guaranteeing people I was gonna get them 40 appointments a month, and I was getting them 40 appointments a month, but they weren't receiving an ROI or return on investment from the appointments I was giving them. So they would close maybe 1 or 2 deals out of 40 appointments. And so they didn't want to stay on long term, and so they would churn every month. And so they would come in for a month or 2 months and then leave. And so I didn't want to keep doing this again and again and again. So I decided I needed to create a better product or just get out of this space completely. So I stopped working with all my clients and then focus on what's my next step going to be. But still, I have to pay for this apartment. So I was like, I got to go find another job. So I just started doing DoorDash and DoorDashing door to door to people all day. And so I was spending 12 hours a day just DoorDashing. And this was so, oh my goodness, it was so, I mean, it was a little better than the cold calling job, but it was super annoying because I'm like, okay, I was just making $10,000 a month. Now I make like $1,500, $2,000 a month trying to DoorDash, just trying to cover the expenses I have here. On top of that, I have all this wear and tear in my car. And on top of that, the gas prices are going up to $5. So everything was getting worse. I realized that I would have to work 12 hours a day for like a year straight in order to have $10,000 in the bank. And I was like, that's not feasible. Having to work 12 hours a day for a year straight just to be able to have that much, like, that makes no sense to me. So I decided, look, I have to figure this out. I have to figure this out. I had $1,000.10 in my bank account, in my DoorDash bank account. And I decided I'm just gonna give everything I have. I gave $1,000 to my church. I had 10 cents left. And I'm not saying this to brag at all, right? I'm not trying to brag because it wasn't a lot. And I was like, I just have to figure this out. I'm not gonna do DoorDash anymore. I'm done with that. I just need to figure this out. Within the next 3 weeks, what I did was I changed my offer to be more around, I'll help you implement the systems yourself so that you can get appointments and you know how to run and get appointments yourself. Because some of the systems I was using for my clients, like SMS and email, some things I couldn't do for them. I didn't know your business well enough. And so I didn't know what they were offering or like the different services or how the inner workings of the business. And so when I was trying to set appointments for these people, there's certain things that I couldn't answer, certain questions I couldn't answer. And so the calls were low quality. And so what if I just gave you the system, you manage it, you run it, you can get higher quality calls yourself and you'll have a high ROI. And you only pay me one time to do it. You don't pay me per month. And so if it doesn't work for you, I'll give you your money back and you get to keep the system. And if it does work for you, you won't have to pay anyone else ever again to run a system again. Like you'll never have to pay another agency to get leads for you. So I started implementing that system and within 3 weeks, I made $8,900 with this model. And then the next month I made $16,000 and now I make about $25,000 a month with this model. And my goal for 2023 is really to hit $1 million finally, right? The 0 to 1 million, and also to master the inbound game. So how do I create amazing YouTube videos like this one? So if you're starting an agency or have an established agency and you want a consistent system for getting 120 sales calls per month, like my system that I have, you can book a call with me below, or I've got a free course on kind of how I do everything in the description below. You can check that out. Let me know if you're interested. I will talk to you guys very, very, very soon. Bye.